The imperative that we share is the recognition that there is available to us through the auspices of the Holy Spirit and in association with the mind that has accomplished this for you, the means by which you can escape from suffering and recognize yourself as whole and perfect in the mind of God. You can come to know the eternal self that you thought you had lost and could never find. But you cannot do that by yourself, and that's why we have these meetings. Somewhere, A Course in Miracles has to be recognized as an accelerated learning program in which you overcome your fear of joining with your brother in mind and purpose, so that you can recognize the obstacles that are established in your mind, which interpose between your awareness and your awareness of God, the perfect love of God, or which would be what you are, wouldn't it? Because what difference would there be between what God is and what you are? Say nothing. There would be no difference between what God is and what you are. And that's why you are afraid of the process. You're afraid of God, and you would do almost anything to avoid awakening to the realization of what is true. Because when you awaken to the realization of what is true, you will reject everything else. Won't you? You will see that everything else is entirely meaningless and it doesn't exist. And to associate with it at all would be to justify, to verify it, and to make it real in your own mind. And that would be painful, because it would be a denial of your own reality. So that's the situation. The situation is that you must look at the obstacle so that it can be overcome. The state of mind of a human being is entirely unconscious of what it's actually doing, the activity, the incredible power of activity in the mind that's at work in each moment to establish a sense of self and a whole world with a history, right, that is convincingly the truth, right? The unchanging truth is that this world objectively is real and there is nothing beyond it. So what's required clearly in the miracle is an experience of what is beyond what you think you know, or what you think you see through the organs of perception and the organ of conception, because we must include the conceptual mind in how you see what is not there to be seen, or what is not there not to be seen. Is that right? Right? This is the impossible lesson through which you must travel in order to find yourself on the other side, where you can experience the truth of who you are. The truth of who you are is not something you already know with the grasping mind, but it is what you already are. So therefore it can be known, but it cannot be known by the mind that is attempting to understand, that is incapable of understanding the absolute simplicity of what you are, what you already are. So does that make any sense? But that's why we are here. If we are here at all, it would be for this purpose. And the degree to which you are motivated will be the degree to which you are ready for an experience. Isn't that true? Wouldn't that be true? So what is the motivation? The motivation is I've had enough. The motivation is I've only got 2 years to live. The motivation is I can't stand the suffering of the ones that I love. Whatever it is, I can't stand myself, maybe. I can't get comfortable. There's nowhere here that I feel I want to be. Whatever it is for you, it may be the intolerable pain of your brother. That's what motivated me to undergo my process initially of forgiveness. I could not stand the pain of the world. It just was absurd. So there needs to be a motivation within yourself to perform this, because nobody willingly goes to a place that is uncomfortable. Nobody willingly goes through fear. Nobody willingly makes a fundamental change unless you see that you have no alternative and that it is an absolute requirement, and no one can do this for you except yourself. Isn't that right? If you have a comfortable house or apartment, you're not going to leave there unless somebody forces you to leave. But that's an indication of the nature of which you have established yourself in the comfort of being in a place where you're not at home, in the comfort of being miserable, in the comfort of being uncomfortable, in the comfort of not being yourself. Right? We make ourselves comfortable in hell and make all the necessary adjustments, don't we? And we call this life, and we find a little place in the countryside to live, and we can get old, and all of a sudden it's all over. Again, that's happening all over the place if you're able to afford a place in the countryside. So thanks for joining with me this morning, because the lesson is the singular lesson that remains constant while it appears that space and time are real to you, that you exist within the dream, the fiction of space and time, the matrix which appears to your awareness as real. So as long as that is true, there is work to be done, the work of the redemption, so that you can be transformed. And as you are transformed, everything is transformed along with you. Because we understand now that there is nothing beyond yourself, that mind is not contained. It's not an isolated, discrete condition of being bound up in that little cell, that body, that clay pot, that, as Jesus would say, rotting prison house. It's not. The mind is not discrete. It's not. Contained. It is unlimited in its effect upon everyone and everything. It is the great illusion of being a human being, that you can exist privately, separately, with separate thoughts and private thoughts, and live your little life with no effect upon anything or anyone else. And you can look out from within your citadel and judge others, condemn others, without suffering the effects of your own condemnation. That's not true. The condition in which you find yourself is a condition of condemnation, isn't it? Self-condemnation is the cause of your experience of separation from God and existence as an evolved primate, a Homo sapien, wise man. Good joke. Great joke, isn't it? Wise man who's destroying his own place where he exists. Huh? How wise is that? It's not very wise. But it's certainly not wise in relation to the recognition that in order to be a human being, you must deny the very certainty by which you exist at all, isn't it? And so every Homo sapien has a question mark on their forehead, and they're asking, what am I? What am I? I don't know what I am. What am I? What am I? And everything you do is an attempt to answer the question, or the riddle, the conundrum, if you like, of yourself. That's what the world is. That's what life on planet Earth is. It's an attempt to answer that question, isn't it? Based on certain premises. So the answer to the question, what am I, lies in the one that is asking the question, surely. You could not ask the question unless you actually knew the answer. Because how do you know that you do not know unless you already know? All right? So don't tell me that you do not know, because you do know, but you have evolved a will within yourself to deny that knowing. So all that Course in Miracles represents is the determination to relinquish this little demon of a will within yourself that is denying to you the joy of knowing who you are as God created you and all the power and glory of being a co-creator of the universe. And that experience is so far beyond the littleness of being a tiny little creeping creature that lives a little life on a planet Earth that you do need a little preparation for that experience. Right? The light comes in glimpses, or in certain cases, it's a complete devastation. St. Paul would perhaps be an example. And he was blind for 10 days after his encounter with the resurrected Jesus Christ. So an experience is necessary to show you that how much beyond this little containment of nothingness you call yourself is available to you, that an experience is necessary. Obviously, 2,000 years of Orthodox Christianity based on vicarious salvation hasn't worked. It hasn't helped, has it? If salvation was accomplished through the crucifixion of Jesus Christ, what are you doing here? It hasn't worked. There has not been any general awakening. There's been all kinds of scandal and barbarous acts in the name of God, and cruelty, all kinds of terrible things. And there have been one or two bright minds who have become illuminate through direct understanding. Generally, they've been chastised by the church because they've stepped outside the bounds of the dogma by which you must remain in accord if you want to be part of the church. So now is the time to recognize that Jesus has come again to restate and to correct what has been corrupted and distorted and misinterpreted and mistranslated for the last 2,000 years. So in the hope of the possibility that you can actually hear this and find the determination within yourself to undergo this awakening procedure, this spiritual surgery that will be performed on you through your willingness to accept the singular lesson of complete forgiveness. Right? We understand forgiveness is necessary because you believe in the opposite to what is all-encompassing. You believe an impossible idea, and without forgiveness you cannot escape from that impossible idea, because the power of your mind has made it an investment in that idea, and that has become who you think you are. So without forgiveness, which would be the recognition that you are doing this to yourself, and that there is a cause, a singular cause to everything that you perceive phenomenally, objectively, within your mind, and that is the only cause to anything that you could possibly perceive within this dream, and that the cause itself, once recognized, once discovered within yourself, will be seen as no cause, and it will be undone. But only at the point where you see that that cause is within your mind, you will begin to understand that forgiveness is the only means available to you to lead you back to this point of causation, so that you can be released from that investment of an idea in a self identity that's not true and God knows nothing about. So to restore to yourself the awareness of who you are as God created you, then you must take this journey without distance with Jesus Christ. He's holding out his hand. He said, "Take my hand and I will take this journey with you." What is the journey? The journey is back through the darkness where you came, isn't it? Back up the steps that you descended down into separation, back through the fear, back to the place where all power is given to you in the recognition that you are the cause, so that it can be undone. But that's what we call, the trials and tribulations of the process of physical resurrection. The dark night of the soul, the divestment of the ego, the divestment of self, the divestment of all interests, goals, and desires other than the singular desire for God. So this is the place where this could occur because you are here, and this is the purpose that I've brought with me to share with you. And in the recognition that we have no other reason to meet. We have no other reason to be engaged in any activity at all. Why? What other reason would I have? What other reason would you have? I don't know. But certainly within myself, I don't have any other reason to be here. I'm leaving here. And because I'm with Jesus, I've recognized that there is nothing here. That there is no world. There's nothing here. There's nothing that I want. There's nothing here that can bring me, that can add anything to me, or that can take anything away from me, because I am whole in the mind of God, that I am complete, that I'm in need of nothing. So that means that I can't stay here more than a moment to fulfill the function that's given to me to fulfill. So that's the relinquishment of my will and the acceptance that my will is one with the will of God, and that I can now be the means for the accomplishment of God's will on earth for a moment. What will bring you more joy? Nothing will bring you more joy, because the joy that you feel is not the joy of a single little person. It's the joy of God himself. It's the cosmic joy of creation that is cheering when anyone turns towards God and turns away from this world, turns towards the light.